Hi guys, so today I'm gonna show you guys how to make your bread. I have some milk, we're gonna need some oil, we're gonna need some honey, and we're gonna need yeast and your container, of course, and some flour. So first of all, I'm gonna heat up my milk so I can put the yeast in it, but you don't want the milk to be too hot or too cold. It has to be warm so that when you put the yeast in the milk, it doesn't kill it, because if it's too hot, it will kill the yeast. If it is too cold, the yeast will not be activated. So here we go. I'm gonna pop it in the microwave. So I put it in the microwave for about 15 seconds. "15 seconds or 10. I usually do 10. Hopefully it's not too hot at 15. No. So that was too cold because of the milk was coming out of the fridge. But of course, if you're using like water, warm water from the tap, you don't have to put it in that long. So I put it at 15 and it was still cold, so I add another 15. So that's basically 30 seconds. Still feels a little bit too warm. And this is the type of yeast that I have. I pour it out in a container, but a little is left in the bag, so I'm gonna use it. This is the milk. It's warm, it's not cold. It's not cold and it's not hot. So this is half a tablespoon, but usually I use 1 for the amount of flour that I'm gonna use. Let me pour this out. So I usually do like 2 tablespoons because I usually use like 5 cups of flour, but I think it's too much when I use 5 cups, so I'm gonna downsize it, like do a half, which is 2.5 cups. So I'm gonna basically use 1 tablespoon of yeast. So yeah, I think this is, you can use the entire thing because it's finished. And this is active yeast, guys. So yeah, that's 1 tablespoon. So Now I'm gonna, this is the yeast, I'm gonna pour the milk on it and mix it in. And then you're gonna cover this for about 5 minutes so that the yeast activate itself. You should see some bubble once it's activated. So I'm gonna cover this for 5 minutes, like I said. Let the yeast do its thing. Cover that, set it aside. So we're gonna need some oil and we're going to need some honey. And of course our salt. Because we're going to use the oil and the honey, I would advise to pour the oil first, then you use the honey so that the honey is easier to get out of the cup. This is a measuring cup. It's a drinking cup, but it's a measuring cup as well. So I'm going to use probably about 100 milliliter of both oil. It should be 3/4 of a cup. But you know, 250 milliliter is like 1 cup. So I probably put it over 100, a little bit over 100 to about 150. Or no, I'll just stick with the 100 because I forget that I'm gonna use half of my ingredients. So I'm gonna put it to 100. Yeah, 100 milliliter of oil. I don't want to pour it in this. Why did I do this anyways? I gotta pour this out because I need a container to use. So let that sit while I gather the rest of this. So this is the oil I'm pouring in the container. This is the honey. 100 as well. So 100 milliliter of oil, 100 milliliter of honey. Then I pour that in. See, it's much easier to get out of the cup when I use the oil first. Now, for the salt I'm gonna use half of a teaspoon. I usually use 1 teaspoon, but like I said, I'm using half of my ingredients, so I'm using half of a teaspoon. And I'm gonna mix that in. Oh, and to let the yeast activate quicker, you can put some sugar in it. A little bit. Mixing, 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 mixing. Okay. Put these back. Okay guys, this is how you know when the yeast is ready. See, it has the bubbles on top. So yeah, it's ready. So now I'm gonna pour this in this. Mix, 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 mix. So when I usually use 5 cups of flour, I use like 2 cups of water. Now I'm using 2.5 cups of flour. So I'm gonna use like 1 cup of water. And basically the milk substitute for the water. So I don't think I'll need to add no water. This cup holds 2 cups of flour, so I basically have 2 cups of flour already. And you do it little by little, and you just fold it like you're making fritters. Mix it, fold it in. Once that is mixed, you add some more. And the more you add the flour, the thicker it gets, as you can see. You just fold it in. Fold it, fold it, fold it. Let's add more cup of flour. Add some more flour. Right? If you think it's too soft, you can add a little bit more flour. If it's too dry, you can add a little bit more water. So yeah, mine feels a little wet, but I'm gonna use the countertop, so of course I clean it and everything. Then I'm gonna sprinkle or you can use, you don't have to use your countertop, you can use a cutting board if you have one, but I tend it's too, mine's not smooth, so I'm not gonna use it. I'm gonna use my countertop. You sprinkle a little flour on whatever surface you're using, and once the dough is not sticking to your pan, you can put it on your surface. What you gotta do now is knead the dough. Knead it. And while you're kneading, you're folding from one side to the other side. Knead it, knead it, knead it. We do this for about 10 to 15 minutes or less. All depends on how much strength you're putting in. When I'm kneading it, if it's too soft on your hand, because you can feel it, if it sticks to your hand, it means that you need a little bit more flour, so you can sprinkle a little bit more flour. Knead it, so that it becomes nice and tight. Nice and tight. And you will know if your dough is ready once if you touch it like this, you see it rises by itself. Or if you stretch it, it doesn't rip. That's how you know when it's ready.
This is good exercise for your arm. You know, I can feel the muscles working in my upper arm. Yeah. Mine is still ripping, so you can see it's not ready. I think it's a bit soft too.
I don't know, but sometimes when I do the rip test, it still rips. But when I do the push test like that, it rises, right? And if it still rips, sometimes I put it in just the same, and it turns out perfectly fine. So I don't know, as long as I need it for a period of time, I think it's good. Yeah. Ooh. 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 Feel like I'm doing exercise. She's kind of a little wet on my hands. Anyways, I think this is it. Need it. Okay. So now you're just gonna close this area. And I'm gonna get a new container. This one. Gonna get a little coconut oil, vegetable oil, I mean. I'm gonna put it in it. Oil my pan. Then I'm gonna pop this in. Put a little oil on top, or butter or whatever. You just want it to keep moist. Put it in this. Then you're gonna cover it. I'm gonna use this to cover it, or you can use the wrap if you have it. And I'm gonna put it in the oven. I'm gonna leave it for half an hour to 45 minutes so that it rises. And I'm just putting it in the oven. The oven is not on, but because it's a bit warmer, that's why I place it in the oven. So that's that. So I do the dishes.